It continues to amaze me how the open source community continues to provide competitive models against the biggest in the industry. LightTricks has just released LTX-2, and this new open source model can not only run on consumer-grade hardware, it's producing outputs that are comparable to the likes of Veo 3, Sora 2, and Kling. It's producing 1080p video content. It runs on consumer GPUs, where I've seen people with as little as 12 gigabytes of VRAM generate amazing content, and it provides video and audio syncing. That means your generations are coming out with video and audio. And on top of that, it's happening in a matter of seconds. Not minutes, seconds. All on consumer-grade GPUs. Now, obviously, you're going to get better results on better GPUs, and there's a little bit of finagling that needs to happen to actually get it to run on your consumer-grade GPU, but the option is there, and that is incredible. Which, even more amazing, is not a Chinese company. It's great to see non-Chinese companies continue to provide quality results in the AI space. Yes, I'm looking at you, Black Forest Labs. We'll talk about the new Flux release in another upcoming video. I have a lot to say about that. So today, I'm going to tell you guys how to get started with the new LTX-2 model. We're going to get it up and running in ComfyUI, and I'm going to show you how to run it on RunPod, and if I get the chance, locally on my machine at the end of this video. As of this recording, I have not been able to get it to run on my RTX 3090. I think I'm close, but if I don't get it done by the end of this video, there will be another video specifically about this. I will link it down in the description below. If you are only interested in getting it to run on a GPU of less than 24 gigs of VRAM, please check the chapters. If I did accomplish it and put it in this video, it will be linked down below, or it will be in one of the chapters. Otherwise, today's focus is going to be to get it running on RunPod. This is the How You Face page, and one of the great things that they've done is right off the bat, they've released the model in multiple formats. It's available in its full 19 billion glory. It's also available in an FP8 and an FP4 format. Now, I believe the FP8 can run on 12 to 24 GB GPUs, given that you have enough RAM. I think part of the reason I wasn't able to run it on my computer is one of my RAM sticks is corrupted and I need to replace it. So every time I use too much RAM, the whole computer crashes. So great time for that to happen with the current RAM shortage. We've also got a FP4 model, which again, I will be testing out before I put this video out. If it works on my GPU, it'll be at the end of the video. Beyond that, they've also released a distilled version of the model, which basically allows you to generate much faster. Over here, it's showing that you can generate in 8 steps. This is a great model for experimentation. I will throw up some of the results over here for you to look at. And if you just want to do the full generation, you can go ahead and use the full model. Beyond that, they've also released a distilled LoRA. And what this does is if you're working with one of the full models and you want to have the distilled effect, again, for experimentation and testing, you can just turn on the LoRA. And when you want to generate without distillation, you just turn it off. Then they've also got 2 upscalers here, and the reason for that is the way this model works is, like we've seen with some image generation models where they split it into 2 phases, they generate a smaller resolution first, and then they upscale it so that you get that high quality result. And these are 2 of the upscalers that they use. We'll cover that later on in ComfyUI. Now, to get it running on RunPod, very quickly, if you don't know what it is, RunPod is a fantastic platform where you can pay per minute and rent out some of the world's most powerful GPUs. You can see over here all of the GPUs available. For today's video, I am actually using a RTX 6000 Pro. And another really cool thing that you can do with RunPod is they've got templates over here, of which I have my own ComfyUI template. You can go ahead and load it up. The link will be down in the description below. And one of the cool things about using my template is if you edit it and you come over here to environment variables, you will see a whole bunch of different model names and configuration. I will have one for install LTX-2 down here. And if you set it to 1, as I've done here, and you set the overrides and you deploy it on demand, what that does is it will automatically download all of the necessary models, put them in the right place, and install any associated custom nodes that make your life easier. The goal here is to get it set up, go get a cup of coffee, come back, and your ComfyUI environment is ready to go. So if you want to try a RunPod, please do use my sign up link down below and my template link down below, as if you use them, I do get some RunPod credits, which help me continue to make these videos. Once you've done that, you will get a pod that shows up over here. Go ahead and click it. If you click on logs, you'll see the entire setup process as well as the models downloading, like you can see over here. This is actually from the template that I will be publishing by the time this video comes out. I'm just, as you can see, testing out the downloads. Once that's done, you can go over to connect 8188 and that will take you straight into ComfyUI. Now, one of the great things about LTX is they collaborated with ComfyUI to make sure that it runs out of the box. To that extent, when you load up ComfyUI, you'll get a template screen like this, and if you type in LTX2, you'll see a bunch of workflows, including a LTX2 text-to-video and LTX2 depth-to-video, canny-to-video, image-to-video, and versions for the Distilled model. If you click on it, it'll load up a workflow. Now, the downside of this is a great workflow to start, but I found that, especially with the image-to-video one, if you try to increase the frame count or you try and work with a size of 1080 on the short end, 1920 on the long end, you will get a header full error. I couldn't get around it, and the only way that I was able to was to use different workflows. To that extent, my favorite workflow is actually the one provided by LightTricks themselves. If you head over to their GitHub, again, link will be down below. They have a repository here with a bunch of example workflows. I'll actually just include these over on my Patreon if you want to just have easy access to them. They'll be included free for everyone. And you can go ahead here and download the workflow that you want. Today, we're going to be looking at the image to video and text to video workflow. However, they've also got one for video to video, like you can do with WAN 2.2. You can plug in a video and change it up, as well as workflows for the Distilled models. I'll also include another workflow, which is a modification of the original one, which is supposed to be able to run on the consumer grade GPUs, which I will get into a little bit later on in the videos. So coming back here to the LightTricks workflow, we've got the image to video and the text to video. Let's start by diving into the text to video, as there are a few important things you need to consider. When you load up the workflows, it is going to ask you that you're missing some models. Again, I would suggest you just ignore the pop-up that comes up as we're going to go through the models, because some of these are going to be different from what the workflow recommends. Over here where we've got load checkpoint, we select the LTX2 checkpoint that we're going to use. That could be any of these four, the DEB FP8, or the DEB FP4. Over here, you can select the latent upscale model. From here, it can be the spatial one, or it can be the temporal one. As of this moment, I have used the spatial one. And then over here, we have the Gemma 3 model loader. This is where things get a little bit tricky. And depending on the workflow you're using, you may need to have two versions of the model loader. First and foremost, this comes from a custom node, which will be automatically installed when you drag it in. It's from the LTX node collection. If you come over here and we see that we've got ComfyUI LTX-Video. And what this does is it's loading the Google Gemma model. Now, this is the clip model that LTX2 uses. If we come here and look at what the default ComfyUI clip loader uses for LTX, you'll see here it's a little bit different. In this case, it's looking for a single unified Gemma model, which is the Gemma 3 12 billion FP8. And we are assigning it here to the checkpoint of LTX2 19 billion. Whereas the workflow provided by LTX uses the Gemma loader separately. And in this case, what you need to have is you need to have the broken up original version of the Gemma model, which comes in 5 parts. You can see here I've got 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5, 4 of 5, and so on. And you select the last one, 5 of 5. The node then uses this information to load up the rest of the models all together. If you want to play around with different workflows, I suggest you just download both and keep them in your text encoders folder. I know it eats up a lot more space. I am still testing out and experimenting if we can replace this with the LTX loader or with some other clip loader, but I haven't quite gotten to that point yet. So at the moment, I'm just using the one that the workflow provides. Again, as I learn about this and improve on it, I will post updates over on my Patreon, as well as over on my Discord. Then beyond that, we've got the LTX2 audio vein, because the base model actually comes with its own model and vein. So it's all kind of grouped into one. Then over here, we've got a LoRA loader that's specific for the distiller. So again, if you don't want to use the distiller, you can just turn this off. But this allows you to generate videos at just 8 steps. So it's, again, very quick and very easy. And then if you just want to use the full model, you can turn this off. Over here, we are setting the video size. I have set here videos for 1920 by 1080. It defaults to 1088 if you put 1080. A really important thing to note about this model is if you are trying to generate stuff at smaller resolutions like 720, you will actually get better results at higher resolutions. So wherever possible, you're better off maybe switching to a GGUF model and simply generating at higher resolutions to get the best results, rather than trying to have a better model and compress on the resolution. Then we've got here the length. This is the number of frames. It needs to be divisible by 8, and then you add 1. This wasn't very clear when I read it the first time, but basically whatever number of frames you choose, like 240, is divisible by 8, and then you add on 1. Anything else, and it will default or it will switch to the closest one, but it won't always work. So I just like to do that manually. Then over here, we've got the frame rate. Again, I've read online that generating at 48 frames gives you more natural results, but keep in mind that the faster the frame rate, the less seconds of content you're going to get. So here I've got 241 at 24 frames. That's about 10 seconds. If I made it 48, that would give me 5 seconds of content, but it would be a lot smoother. Then over here, we put in the prompt, we put in the negative prompt, and then the workflow has some enhancers here. So if we look over here, there is a text enhancer where it takes in the prompt, and you can see here the system prompt, and it actually tries to enhance it for you. So again, if you don't want to be using that, you can turn that off. Okay, all of that goes into the conditioner, and then it goes into the sampler, which is actually its own subgraph where we've got the entire process split into 3 stages. There's the pre-process, which sets the latent to be a smaller size. Here is where the generation happens with the sampler, the shift, the CFG, the noise, and so on. By default, a noise seed is set to control to fix after generate. So if you want that to generate randomly because you want a different video each time, make sure you change it over here. I found that when you change it outside the subgraph, it doesn't work. Over here is where the upscaling is happening, right? We see here the LTX-V latent upsampler. And then finally, that all gets put together into the Bay tile decoder. That comes back out. We get this create video, which combines the images and the audio. And then we have our final result. And here's the image to video version. And it's pretty much the same thing with one difference over here in step 3, which is the prompt area, where you can insert your own image. And then that will be fed into the prompt, and you will get the same result. Important thing here to note is the enhancer over here in the image to video now also takes the image. So it's considering the image when it enhances the prompt, which is a very cool feature. And that's how you get started with LTX-Video 2. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to try and get this up and running on my local GPU. And for that, we're going to have a look at this other workflow. Before moving on and covering how we can get this running on my consumer-grade GPU, I just wanted to mention one more thing that's part of the LTX-2 package. So LightTricks has released a bunch of additional LoRAs that help with a bunch of functions and use cases to make life a little bit easier for video creation. One of which is incredibly important, is the detailer. So if you notice over here on the LightTricks workflows, we have a LTX-2 video-to-video detailer. And this is incredibly important because the base LTX workflow takes a small size video and upscales it. And initially that looks really good, but as you start to generate, you notice that the quality could be a little bit better. And that's where the detailer comes in. It comes in and fills in the details, makes things look a little bit sharper, a little bit crisper. I'm throwing up some examples here for you to see of regular and upscaled version, and you can see that the difference is drastic. Having said that, if your base video is bad, it has some issues, it's just going to make it worse. So keep that in mind. In addition to that, they also released a bunch of camera control LoRAs, like you can see here, dolly right, jib up, dolly out, which I will cover in greater detail in another video. But if you're messing around and experimenting and you're having issues with camera control, that would be a good place to start. And the workflow is pretty simple. It's actually simpler than the other workflows that we've looked at, where you load up the videos over here on the left, load up the models, same thing as before, just go through and click them and set them to the ones that you want. The important thing here is your LoRA model only needs to have the detailer. I'm guessing you could also probably throw in the distiller, but I have it running pretty quickly without it here on the 6000 Pro, so your mileage may vary. You've got a blank positive prompt here, which feeds into positive and negative. We've got a Langsauce upscale with a target size of 1920, which the video is already, so it's not actually getting upscaled. And then we encode it via tiling along with the 1.0 CFG guider, run it through the LTBX looping sampler, which runs through the different tiles, finally decode it with the tiled VE decoder, and then you've got the results over here. Pretty simple. Again, over on my Patreon, I will have the workflows I've shown you here today with the encoder already integrated into it, as well as a few other variations, including a image to video so that you can generate your images or your frames and scenes directly in the same workflow and then convert them over to video. Those will all be available as part of the paid Patreon post. So if you want to support me and get access to those workflows, please do. Your help and support is always appreciated. Now, if you don't want to mess around with LTVX on ComfyUI, you just want to get straight to video generation. As usual, I have it over on my image and video generation platform already set up. You can go ahead and head on over to kaijugen.com video, and you can grab LTX-2 from the list. It's over here. We've got the image to video, the text to video, and the fast image to video all available here. As I get more versions, I'll go ahead and add them, as I believe I have a control to video version coming up as well. You can go ahead and pick the one that you want, image to video, set your image up over here. It also has LoRA support, so if I haven't mentioned that already, one of the great benefits of LTX2 is that it has LoRA support. And while at the moment on KaijuGen you can just add it here, we will be getting native LoRA support as well, where you can just upload and save your own LoRAs over on KaijuGen. Going back to generate, head on over to video. You've got the model, you've got your starting image, put your prompt, and you will get the results after a few minutes. And that's how you get up and running with KaijuGen. For ComfyUI, on the other hand, I was able to get it working on my 3090 without running into RAM issues, which means that if you have excess RAM, you can get this running on a lower VRAM GPU as long as you've got the regular RAM overhead to cover any excess. So I did it using this image to video workflow. I'll also have the text to video version over on Patreon as well as this one. And there's a few things that you need to have set up to get it running on these GPUs. First and foremost, I'm using the FP4 and FP8 versions of the model. These are quantized versions of the model, and with FP8 over here in load checkpoint, as well as in the VE, along with the FP8 version of Gemma, I was able to get it generating at 90% VRAM usage over here on ComfyUI. And with that, I got a pretty good result, which I'm throwing up here. That was used in combination with the Distilled LoRA and the LoRA detailer. Now, in theory, if you've got a 16 GB or 12 GB GPU, you should get similar results as long as you've got 32 gigs of RAM. More, the better. If you still want a little bit more overhead and you want to squeeze as much as you can out of the model, you can go for the FP4 version, which is a new quantization that ComfyUI recently got support for from NVIDIA. NVIDIA just put out a massive update for ComfyUI that gives us a lot more throughput on lower quantization of models, and I'll cover that separately in another video. And that's kind of the main secret. The other important thing that you need to do when running ComfyUI is if you're running it through a terminal, right? You're doing main.py when you run it, you want to add a -- low VRAM flag. And again, what this will do is it will try and prioritize or balance the models between your VRAM and your regular RAM, ensuring that you don't run out of VRAM for the generations and whatnot. The other important thing that I did to get this running is I did 720p generations at 1280 by 720p. You can try and push it to 1080 with the FP4 model. With the FP8 model, you are definitely going to run over your 24 gigs of VRAM, and you're definitely going to need some regular RAM. But like I said, on a 24 gig GPU at 720, I was at 90%. So with 1080, you're going to hit that 100%, and maybe you'll need 8 to 10 gigs of regular RAM to get it over the finish line. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It massively helps out the channel. And if you really want to support the channel, please do consider supporting me on Patreon. It massively helps the channel, keeps me going, and your help is always appreciated. On top of that, if you do decide to use RunPod, please do use the links I provided below. And if you have any questions or comments, please do consider coming by the Discord. I do my best to answer my questions over there or answer the comments down below. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.